Hi class, I'm doing my presentation on dating and relationships. The communication is very important when it comes to relationships. It's necessary for a healthy relationship to have and both verbal and nonverbal communication to help improve it. It'll have a very negative impact if your communication is not very well established. By using you and I statements, communication styles, and being present in your relationship, it can greatly improve your current and or future relationships with your partner. Dr. Cherie Board Carter, a psychologist, mentions that there's quite a few different types of way of communicating. The first one is an affiliate speaker. This is someone who needs a collaboration, someone who needs to speak with others to find out what their perspective is on their own decision, and they will need to get everyone else's opinion before they make their decision for themselves. There is also a competitive speaker who is very decisive about what they want and what they need. They don't need help from anybody else. They just speak and tell you how they feel and what they need. These are two different types of way of speaking, and there's also two more, such as a direct speaker who's also very decisive on what they say. They say how they feel, when they feel it, and there's no hesitation. There's no lack of communication with that person. But there's also the opposite end of that spectrum would be an indirective speaker. An indirective speaker will speak to you in a very vague manner, such as they want to move in with, say, their parents, or they want to move closer to their family, but they won't tell their significant other this. They'll mostly explain it as, oh, I wish I had lived closer to the house, or I wish my family lived closer to me, or I wish our house was closer to my family. But they wouldn't directly speak to their significant other about that. They would expect them to understand or read between the lines of the way they're speaking. This is a very unhealthy way to speak with someone. So indirective causes assumptions. This person might think that you think that the listener automatically knows what they're speaking about or what they're talking about. But that person would just be like, oh, this is just a random thought or wish. But instead of going greatly out of their way for that, it'll change things. This will help you transfer over to the you and I statements once you establish the way you understand the way you communicate with others. You and I statements help greatly because it starts to change the way you think about how you speak to your partner. Tony Robbins said that using the you and I statements, they're best used when speaking with your partner and when your feelings and emotions are quite overwhelming. So this way you can help control and tame that anger and prevent you from lashing out. Using an I statement or using a you statement is more aggressive and causes the listener to become very defensive about their interaction with that person. This can cause you to hold back or create a more hostile environment for the listener when you start placing blame of your emotions on them. But then you use an I statement instead, and this helps deflect that. It prevents you from just placing blame on the listener, and you take in your own responsibility for your own emotions rather than attacking the listener as you would if you used a you statement. The I statement is way more beneficial to helping the listener become less defensive and more open to speaking with you, and less scared of repercussions of how you will react. Next is being present in your relationship. A lot of people tend to not listen, or just think because they are there with their partner that it's okay to just nod your head or not really actually pay attention. But as long as you're there, it counts as you being there for your partner. But it doesn't. You need to be there not only in physical form, but emotionally present, listening to what they have to say. A lot of people get distracted using their phones, not actually paying attention to what they're saying, and just kind of drifting off when it comes to speaking with their partner in some communications. And this has a greatly negative effect on the way people communicate. When someone's on their phone, it's considered very disrespectful when you're trying to speak with them and they're just distracted texting, looking at Instagram, things like that. These make you resent that person after a while. And from personal experience, this is exactly what happened. In my past relationship, my ex would be on her phone when we would discuss anything. She's just always on her phone. So when it came to us speaking about anything or anything important, she would still be on her phone. It's just because it might even just have been a habit. But it was to the point where every time she was on her phone, whether we were speaking or not, I would just think negatively and poorly of her, to the point where I wouldn't even try to talk to her when she had her phone in her hand. I would just avoid it. Like, there's no point in doing this. I'm just gonna get mad if she starts messaging or messing with her phone at all if we're speaking to each other. And it's created a distance and at a point where I just thought negatively on her a lot of the time. And if I used a lot of these topics to actually speak with her in these ways, such as figure out how I should communicate with her and explain to her in a way that how I was feeling because of the actions that she was doing, and just explain to her what it was causing. It's such a little thing, just being on your phone, but after a while it has a great effect. That's what it had on me, to the point where it was just so hard. Like, I was just, the fact that I see her on her phone at any point in time, I would just have negative thoughts and negative experiences. But because I didn't explain my situation and how I felt, this caused a little issue to become a big issue. These are lessons learned. I wish I had this information back when I was a teenager. But you kind of just figure out as you go along. With this information, it would greatly improve your future and or current relationships. So please keep in mind, these things can help you.